And we're live.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam
Assalamu
wa
warahmatullahi
rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
wabarakatuh.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And alhamdulillah. Wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulihi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsani ila yawm ad-din. Wa ba'd. We'd like to welcome you all to our Awoke and Grand Folk show, inshallah. I'm Imam Fahim. I'm your host with the most from coast to coast. I'm here with my glamorous and esteemed queens from all over the region, the country, the world, the universe, alhamdulillah. So I have to my left, I have Sister Fatima. Is that my left? Sister Fatima Muhammad. Sister Fatima Muhammad, let the people know where you transmitting from.
British Virgin Islands, assalamu alaikum.
Okay, alhamdulillah. And then to her aside, we have the esteemed queen, Miss Joanne Thomas. Miss Joanne, let the people know where you transmitting from.
International Florida.
Alhamdulillah. And down to my bottom, I guess that's my right, we have Sister Fatima, my co-host with the co-most. Let them know where you transmitting from.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm from Canada. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. And last but certainly not least, our Sister Kalima, my neighbor, my partner in crime. And let them know where you transmitting from, sis.
Celestial, Camden, New Jersey. United States.
Alhamdulillah. So I'd like to welcome all my esteemed panelists, everyone join the show. May Allah who spend with Allah bless you all. We appreciate you spending this hour with us, inshallah. And we ask Allah who subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept it and to make it beneficial. I mean. All right, so today's topic, we're talking about discussing what made or makes married couples stay together longer. As we know in these days and times that we're living in, not only are people not staying married for long periods of time, we're plagued with, a lot of Muslims not even getting married to begin with. And it's very disheartening to see it, and many people have what their take is on marriage and, what has to be done. And of course, we know that marriage is a very important part of the deen. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that, when a person, they should get married and then they should fear Allah for the other half. He said the marriage is half of the deen, and then the person should fear Allah for the other half. So marriage is a very vital component in Islam. And although it is something that is, for intimacy and, it is necessary, but, marriage is really a sunnah. Marriage is a sunnah that a person doesn't have to get married in Islam. But if they don't get married, then the other option is to be abstinent until marriage, And I think Imam Amin had mentioned this on one of the podcasts. And there's an actual book about many of the great scholars who never married in their life, such as Imam An-Nawawi, rahimahullah. Yeah, and so marriage is a sunnah. It's not an obligation, but the alternative to marriage is abstinence, and not celibacy. Abstinence is to refrain from intimacy until one gets married, and celibacy is to take a vow to never get married. That's un-Islamic. But whatever the case is, marriage is something that's very important. It's very beautiful, and we want to discuss today what makes a marriage last long. Because we need marriages really are the foundation of a good Islamic society. So when men and women are married and they have stable marriages, they build stable families. Stable families make stable communities, and stable communities make the world a better place, inshallah ta'ala. All right, so we want to discuss, I want my elders to go first. What constitutes, from your view, in current times, and then, times that you experience where people, got married and stay married, right, wrong, or indifferent. What are some of the changes that you've seen take place and why people are not staying married? Miss Joanne, we'll start with you.
Well, I think some of the changes are taking place because there's no commitment. between the husband and wife. They're not committed.
Because I'm not
Uh,
sure.
and it seems that a lot of times when they get married, they're already making plans to get a divorce if things don't work out before even before problems occur. So there's not that commitment. There's not that loyalty. Um, and this is the way it began. So they've already figured a way out, the day of the wedding, how to leave, how to get out, to instead of concentrating on the loyalty, the commitment, and sharing, a good life together, and also children. Children make a difference too. Um, so I think that plays a major role, that there definitely is not that commitment and that loyalty is not there.
Okay.
And love.
Okay, love. Yeah, vital component. Mashallah.
I believe in love.
Yeah, love is necessary. Alhamdulillah. Okay, Sister Fatima Muhammad, the Queen of the British Virgin Islands.
Yes.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah.
The same question to you, inshallah.
Mashallah. First, I would like to say marriage is a journey and not a destination. We have seen so many different changes in marriages due to lack of knowledge. It's not being explained and to our communities like before. Years ago, you had people getting married at the age of 16, 15, and it lasts as long. But now, it is such a hype in us, different trend, and also different cultures, and with the internet being involved, it's an easy breakup than makeup. There's so many changes, and this is not a good example, for our youths coming up. That's why we're hearing that they don't want to get married, and because of what they're seeing and experiencing. And I feel that marriage counseling should be more implemented in organizations and in communities, so to help elevate the bondship, and the respect and the love. If there's no love in the relationship, it will be falling through the cracks. And we as adults, we have to set that example. As the sister said, some, as soon as they get married and things are not working, the next option is to divorce. They're not planning to make a go of it. They're not planning to see what they can do to make it work, instead of separating. You're not even living a good month or two, and you're ready to throw in the towel. It's a struggle, it's a jihad. We have to be willing to compromise with each other. We have to be willing to learn more of each other, spend more time with each other, find out each other's likes and dislikes, so as to set a good example, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, Sister Fatima from Canada, the Canadian Queen.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. I look back over the years. I was born in 1950. I remember marriages then were like solid, whether they got along or not. People did not get divorced. I used to wish my parents got divorced, but because they fought like cats and dogs, but they stuck it out. There was something, people just didn't divorce back then. And even before then, it was about building a family, about being part of something. And our society now is too disposable. Everything's disposable. Friendships, marriages, clothes, belongings, everything is disposable. And that instant gratification comes in there again. We don't learn how to live with ourselves, first of all, and then with another person. I can't say when I got married to my husband. I mean, I was a piece of work. My husband hadn't been so patient, hadn't been the way he was, and he was that way, and that's what attracted me. That's what I wanted. That's what I married him for, was his Dean and the way he was. We wouldn't still be married. Like, alhamdulillah, once I started learning and once I started trying to purify my heart, I suddenly woke up one day and I had an immense amount of love for my husband. Things changed so much. He really changed. I'm making a joke because it was me that really changed. He was doing everything really well. He always did. He always did. I learned what love was. I knew what love wasn't. I knew that very well, what love wasn't. But it took a lot for me to learn what love was. And that was only through purifying my heart and wanting my marriage to work. I really wanted my marriage to work. That was the big thing. He's a good man. He's a very, very good man. And as a man, Amin always tells us, never break the heart of a believer. And that includes in our marriages. And I think we forget that. We think it's just each other, but we need to do that in our marriage and think about that. And another thing, if our young people don't get married because we're not a good example to them, how's the Ummah going to continue? Because no children will be born. Maybe children out of wedlock, but are they going to stay Muslims? There's a whole thing that we need to look at here. That we need as elders to make our marriages look appealing to others, as we must make ourselves look appealing as a Muslim out there when we go out there in the world. That's the best form of dawah we can give to each other.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, Sister Kalima.
Listen, I've been married twice, and all I can tell you is my fantasy of a marriage, because neither one of my marriages worked. There was no marriage. It was marriage as far as name only. The first one I don't want to talk about because it's about, we were in two different places, I'll put it like that. I'm not going to blame it on him, and I'm not going to blame it all on me, because it takes two for a marriage to work. The second marriage, I really wanted that to work. Still, things from the past, when things from the past come up, things are stuck in people's heads, and for some reason or another, you can't seem to let go of the past. It's like not having faith in each other that we can change. It's like, okay, well, you got to know me, for a while, and then after we get married, then you want to bring up things that I've done or things that you've done. Like, I don't know, marriages just didn't work for me. I wanted marriages to work. I had my fantasy of a marriage. I wanted to be a good wife, submissive, but still being able to hold my ground, argue, and still being able to go to bed and wake up like it's a brand new day, and not even think about what we argued about. Like, we wanted to be able to forget, doing things for each other, not just because it's a holiday or an anniversary or it's a birthday, just because I appreciate you, I respect you, I love you, for the man who you are, the man that you have become, and vice versa. Being able to cook meals and keep the house clean, for my Zoj, and not have to all the time, well, it's your job to do this and your job. I know we're going to argue, but like I said, my fantasy of a marriage is to work together, to do things together, to be able to take walks and hold hands, so like, I'm real back there in fantasy, but it's not like it can't happen, because I see it. I see it happen. I see it work. I see that is what happens in some people's lives. Going shopping together. Not it just being a woman's job to do certain things. No, well, let's do this together. You know, um, I didn't have out of my two marriages, although my Zords passed away the second time. But I would like to think that we would have eventually worked some things out before it had gotten too deep where we wouldn't been able to rehash some things. I had looked forward to learning the dean from my Zoj and us learning together and going to the masjid and going to festivities and doing things together. Although I wouldn't have been able to have had any more children, but still, I had grandchildren. He had nieces and nephews, and you know, just being like it's a nice summer day, even though it's not summer yet. But being able to go to the waterfront and hold hands and enjoy the park, the water, the people, being able to discuss things, not flat out arguing and calling each other a whole bunch of names and you know, all that crazy nonsense. I always had a fantasy of what I wanted marriage to be like, but it never worked that way. I didn't have a problem with being submissive, although I'm told that I'm aggressive. I think I would like to say I'm assertive, more so aggressive. Some things, sometimes I had to be aggressive, but in marriage, I didn't think that I had to be aggressive. I was assertive. Maybe I was too assertive, and it was defined a different way. I don't know, but I think marriages can work, and it can be the way each other want it. But you got to put your heads together and discuss. Maybe before you even get married, what are you looking for out of a marriage? In a relationship, what are you looking for in a wife? What are you looking for in a husband? I think those things need to be discussed, and it's no surprises. All right, this. Listen, if you want to know about my past, here it is. I'm laying it all on the table, and if there's anything, if you still want to hold that against me, then I don't think we should be married because it's not going to work. Because that's always going to get thrown in my face. But I don't know. Like Fahim said, it's sooner, and I would like to live, according to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and according to the Quran. But I don't know. It works in some people's lives and in some people's it doesn't. I don't know if I'm ever going to get another chance. I don't know. But if it's Allah's will, it'll happen. If it's not, it won't. So that's all I have.
That was a lot.
I know.
Mashallah. I got a question. Many times when you talk to people these days, and when they like the idea of having a long-term marriage, but then when they see what it takes to maintain one, a lot of people have heard like younger people say like, okay, yeah, they had those long-term marriages, but that the men were, they weren't faithful and the women were unhappy, and it was like all because of the kids. And so I think there's an element, to a long-term marriage that, in my view, that sometimes you sacrifice a bit of your happiness, for at the expense of your spouse. And I think in these times, in this current time, many people are really concerned about their own happiness and their own benefit even at the expense of their spouse. So do you think that this is in order to maintain a long-term marriage, that there just has to be like, sometimes it won't always go your way. Like you just have to really be flexible. Is that a key part of longevity in marriages?
Yes, it is. I married back in 1969,
Well,
And I was not Muslim then. I was not introduced to Islam in any form until around 1991, 92. So from 1969 up until that time, everything that I knew and that I was groomed on was Christianity. I did have very loving relatives because my mom died at a very early age, and my great aunt raised me, who I've said before was very strict and had strict rules. Uh, there was no dating. My husband had to come and ask for my company. So, and we met as youngsters. I think we were about 12 or 13. But when he was old enough to ask for my company to come over to see me, we've been together, ever since then. But so in 1969, I was 19 years old when I married. Every day was not a good day. And I married, and doing on the Christian side, there was no counseling or anything like that. Now, I did receive counseling from my relatives, who gave me a heads up on everything and how things should go and how things should be. So I did benefit from that. But I did marry at a very young age. But like I said, not every day was a good day. There were a lot of happy days, but not every day was a good day. And there has to be where both parties will compromise. Uh, that and besides, you're just really learning each other. You don't know each other until you marry them. When you see them, before that, it's on, everyone's on their best behavior. When you're married, that doesn't happen every day. So you're really learning each other, and you usually are two opposite people. You're usually opposites. So it does take a lot of compromising. And sometimes, one may have to give a bit more than the other, to make things, go smoothly. Um, but there was one thing that I always knew. Well, not always, because there was a time when I doubted in my heart if I loved my husband uh, anymore. Uh, but then I figured out that even with that, when I thought I didn't love him, I still loved him in my heart. He is the man that I will always love, no matter what.
Mm.
And we've had problems, but he is the man that I will always love, and he is dear to me. And I could tell then that he really began, to try and get his act together. And I kept on trying and trying too, because we had kids together, and I preferred that he raised our kids, that we raise our kids together. But it does take commitment. It does take learning, because you are learning each other, because you're two entirely different people, and that does take some time. And you have to be patient. Patience plays a very important role, and so you hang on in there through the good, through the bad, all of the time. You hang on in there no matter what. So that's what has to be done. But now they just give up so fast, so quickly,
Mm.
and just hang in there. Thank goodness it's usually one of the mates is a little stronger than the other,
Mm.
and that helps a lot too. But the commitment, and to be able, to give a little, and you'd be surprised, how winning that could be, how much more that person can see the person that you are, or that you can see the person uh, that your mate is. It's a give and take situation, and you try to give and give, and know that not no one is perfect, no one is perfect, but it's not worth just turning your back on it.
Miss Joanne, you want to tell us about Inspiration Point in that 57 Chevy? You kind of skipped over that part.
It was a 56.
Ah. It wasn't no chaperone up there, was it?
Well, no, not most of the time, but most of the time, if I went somewhere, my aunt, I had 3 brothers, and they normally were at the same places that I would be at. But there were occasions, where we were alone. But most of the time, my brothers were there. They were there. And when he came over to see me
Okay.
at the house, he was there sitting with my whole family, me and my whole family.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Okay, the Queen of Canada, Sister Fatima, same question to you.
I think in the beginning, a lot of that happens. Definitely, my husband sacrificed a lot of his happiness to make our marriage work in the beginning, for sure. I know he did. And for me, I just beginning to read it. When you suggested that, I thought my whole understanding of happiness has changed as our marriage has progressed. My happiness now is seeing my husband happy. When I look over and I see him with a big smile on his face and he's glowing, I just like, that's an unbelievable feeling that you can have for another human being. That for me is like, I have no other idea of what I want that could make me happy. No family, things, places have ever made me feel this way, because it's once I felt this extreme love for Allah Ta'ala and the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, love started to happen inside of me, and that I was able to give this to my husband. Now, seeing him happy is really what makes me happy. So no, I'm not sacrificing anything to make my husband happy. If anything, I'm gaining something.
Alhamdulillah. Sister Fatima, the Queen of the British Virgin Islands. I mean, if you don't mind me asking, are you married currently?
Yes, I am.
Alhamdulillah. How many years?
25 years. 25
Allah,
years.
Allahu Akbar. Okay. Yeah, the same question to you, inshallah.
Well, when I met my husband, he introduced Islam to me, and I thought that was the most beautiful thing a man could have given to a woman.
Wow.
But as you know, we go from day to day, knowing that it's human being, 2 different individuals. We have to learn each other's habits, do's and don'ts, and then more so culture. Being the 3rd marriage, I try my best not to repeat the same mistakes, give my all, try to be sincere, try to fear Allah first and foremost, and try to make him happy. Whenever he sees me, he must be pleased. And one of the beautiful things that I enjoyed with him is in the mornings, when we get up, we finish making fajr, he would read the Quran to me or read a hadith to me, and these beautiful stories of which add to my life, in how to be a good wife, how to be a good mother, how to be a good grandmother, and how to share love with each other, And one of the things up to yesterday, he was saying, you're a person don't like lies, I cannot take that, just cannot take that, be sincere with me. And I would be sincere with you, We have to learn to know each other's likes and dislikes, compromise. Forgiveness is a big thing for me, And another thing I enjoy with him, the 2 of us, we would sit and talk about our past life, and we would laugh about it. You must be able to have that confidence in each other, be able to make joke, make each other laugh, Don't get angry over stuff. Even if I say something that you're not happy about, let's be truthful. Let's speak about it and get it over and done with, Don't throw it back at each other's face and stuff like that, Honor each other, respect each other. If you're going to fight, you fight with dignity, and, don't go to bed angry. That's one of the big things. I can remember when in my first marriage, when I got married at the age of 17, that's one of the things that an old woman said to me. She said, never go to bed angry. Never go to bed angry, because you just don't know if one or y'all would wake up together, you know. And it must be such a joy that when you wake up in the morning to see your partner, you know, it must be a joy, a joyful thing. Then, most of all, for the two of you to come together and to give Allah thanks and praise in the mornings, you know, it's just a beautiful thing. Marriage is something beautiful. It's like an egg, you know, it has the white and it has the yolk, but when the two come together, it is one. It is one. You know, we must strive together for genital furthers, you know, to meet each other there. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. All right, so we reached the halftime portion of our show. So let us break for a little promo, inshallah. Alhamdulillah. Are we able to flash that link again for rukayasworld.com?
Yeah, I don't have it on hand, but I'll try to get that.
Okay, yeah, we can flash it across the screen. To all the viewers, please be sure to support her. Our sister Rukaya has some products that are specific to the 3453 family, some coffee mugs and other things like that. She's very talented, and support goes a long way. So when we support our own, they're able to come up with more stuff to give us more quality products, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, so my next question is, in a long-term marriage, how would you define love? How would you define love? Because many times we have this whole concept about love, and many times it's connected with romanticism, and I would like to hear our elder queen's response, because from a man's perspective, it might be different, because I always talk to my wife about this, and I gotta kind of keep trying to, impress her and make her feel, fantasy and stuff like that. But to me, love is a good home cooked meal, But then, so it's different. So how would you define love in a long-term marriage? We'll go with Miss Joanne first, since she 1969. That's that's what, 52 years?
Yeah.
52 years. No, that's 53 years, right?
Yeah.
Allahu Akbar, man. That's monumental, Miss Joanne. We got to send you some type of gift or something.
Send me some flowers.
No, flowers, we need something. We gotta send you some money or something, man. Flowers, you get flowers at the gas station, Yeah, so how would you define love in a long-term marriage to you?
Love is binding. Love is loyalty. Love is when you put that person feelings ahead of your feelings. Love is, when you know that you've made that person's day, or you've put a smile on their face. Love is knowing that that person is doing all he can to show that he loves you. But love is binding. It's something that a lot of times does not have to be spoken in words. because you can feel it. When you can actually feel that love, when you can feel the energy between the two of you, and it could just be a look. It just be, just a look, and uh, to be able to feel that, to be able to share that, and it's a beautiful thing. It is when you can feel that. I mean, because you can say words for some people come easily, but to show that love, to make me feel that love, that's something totally different.
Okay. Hold on. All right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Sister Fatima, British Virgin Islands. What is your definition of love in a long-term marriage?
It has no boundary. No boundary. It's not hurting. You don't hurt each other. When you see each other, you must just be happy to see each other. As in your young days, you talk about the butterfly syndrome, the tingling, the excitement, the joy in seeing each other, the joy in embracing each other, the joy in sharing with each other, caring for each other. It's just joy. It's just joy. Happy to see each other, happy to be with each other, happy to be sitting and laughing and enjoying each other's company. It has no boundary again, no boundary. It's beyond measure, beyond limit. Caring, it doesn't hurt. Don't hurt each other. Just care for each other. SubhanAllah.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, a Canadian queen, Sister Fatima.
Love to me is wanting for him what I want for myself. For one, love is sitting there holding hands with each other and just being at peace, holding hands and listening to each other's pain and trying to help each other through anything that they're going through, whether it's the past, whether it's with anybody in the community, that just being there for each other. Intimacy, real intimacy. And sex isn't intimacy. Sex is sex. Intimacy is something totally different. It's on a whole nother level. It's it's a spiritual thing. Intimacy and love is a spiritual thing. For me, it is. I'm beginning to understand that. That's what it is to me. It's on a different spiritual level. So.
Okay. All right. So we'll stay with you for the next question. So, what is the limit of what kind of stuff that you put up with in a marriage? Because as you all know, any long-term marriage, you have ups and downs. You've had some very hard times. You have some very difficult times, and there are situations that happen that may seemingly be unforgivable. I remember reading from a marriage counselor. She said that there are three reasons that you don't stay in a marriage, 3 situations. If it's a pattern of abuse, a pattern of physical abuse, a pattern of substance abuse, and a pattern of like using alcohol and stuff like that. And she said that any other thing that can be worked out, So, I'm sorry. She said physical abuse, substance abuse, and a pattern of infidelity. So, sometimes these things happen more often than not than we would admit. Of course, as Muslims, we have to hide our sins. But I know in my years of counseling, there's always situations where, infidelity occurs, or people may or may not have a pattern of the other 2 things. So what is the limit, that you feel like what would be the limit before you walk away from a marriage, and what will make you stick it in there in spite of some of these things occurring? You know, because what I'm saying is because today many people, they ready to walk out on the first sign of danger, the first argument, the first big flare up. You know, the sister wants a cola, or a brother says, you know, I can't deal with it no more, you know, and stuff like that. So what would be the limit in your experience that would make you not stick in there, and what makes you stick in there? It's just a two-part question. So it's Canadian Queen, we'll start, and then we'll go around Joanne, and then Sister Fatima.
Which, I'm sorry, you want me first?
Yes.
The other Fatima. Okay. Well, alhamdulillah, I don't think I'll ever have that problem with my husband. I can't imagine. But in a marriage, I have been married before, and I stuck it out for a long time at the expense of my own safety, most definitely. Because I like being married. I like being part of something. But I would put up with a lot just to make that marriage work. And I think that you have to draw a line in the sand somewhere. It's like you mentioned all those truth things. I think all three of them go hand in hand. Like, I think most people that do drugs and drink are going to cheat on you at some point. At some point. That may not be their intention, but it will happen. And I would still try to help. Like, if I was Muslim, I would still try to help them get help, find a direction for them. You know, like there's that new work with that organization called Melati.
Yeah, Melati Islami.
Yeah, I like that. I was reading about it the other day. I really like that, and I think we need to promote that more. Because
it's very helpful. It's very helpful.
Very, because there's a lot of people out there that are suffering in silence. And maybe some not in so much silence, but they are suffering. You know, as a person, as a recovered alcoholic and drug addict, I know the pain that they go through. So I think it's really important that we support these things and push it towards our youth, because a lot of our youth are getting involved in that. And this program is really good because it's using the principles of Alcoholics Anonymous, but with the Islamic values. And I really like, I was like, mashallah, you know, when I saw that. So I think that for me would be it. If they weren't willing to change, if they just wanted to stay that way and didn't see it as a problem, because some alcoholics are like that. I know some Muslims that are like that. They're alcoholics and they don't think it's a problem. So to me, that would be, no, that's enough. I couldn't put up with that.
Okay, Miss Joanne.
Well, at this point, I don't have those types of problems. But in my husband's younger days, he was something else, and it was a lot to deal with. But I hung on in there because I wanted to make it work, and I know that a lot of things he really didn't think about it before he made such bad choices. But he changed. He changed, and I stayed and was willing to work with him and work things out. So you can. So I can't say that there's nothing that he could do, you know, that wouldn't make me walk away. I can say now that I'm happy, but now I haven't always been happy. Every day was not a happy day. And during his younger years, it was very, very trying some days. But like I said, I decided and made that choice to hang on in here. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did.
Okay, Sister Fatima.
Well, I can speak about physical and emotional abuse. My second marriage, that was a big hit. But still, you know, I try to make it work. I keep forgiving and forgiving and forgiving because I thought that I had loved him, or I thought that he had loved me. But love does not destroy. it causes no pain. And I had suffered a lot with my second marriage, even though um, with all the pain and the hurt that I've been through, I keep forgiving and forgiving and forgiving. And then the bottom dropped from the bucket and I just had to run, you know. And I told myself, I said, well, if this is it, because since my teenage years, I always used to say that when I get married, it must be until death. But it happens so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had a different plan. So I ran out of that. And I told myself that is it. I don't think I'm going to get married again. But then one year, a hurricane came. I can't remember which one came. And I became so scared because, living alone, it was very hurting, and painful that I screamed out one day and I said, Lord, you did not put me here on this earth to be alone. I can't take this anymore. I can't take this anymore. And, I cried out. And alhamdulillah, couple of months after I met my husband, and I said I thought that was the most beautiful thing for me, Islam, introducing Islam to me, but not remembering that we are all humans, and we have issues, we have problems, and we are different in many ways, and especially again I said in culture, but alhamdulillah, it's a jihad. I keep going. I went through a lot, but we're still learning each other. You wouldn't stop learning of each other until that big moment of death. But alhamdulillah, I went through a lot, and it did tear me up, but Allah blessed me with a husband who, we work things together, we laugh together, we enjoy each other. Alhamdulillah. Forgiveness is the key, you have to learn to forgive. My dad used to say, your 5 fingers are not even, we all have differences, but we have to learn how to work out our differences and show each other respect, respect each other.
Alhamdulillah. I got another question. In long-term marriages, they can become where you have a routine, and I think a routine is good. It has plus and minuses. The pluses that you with your partner, you guys can talk. Things don't have to be said. You already get filling each other's words. You already know what's gonna. There's really no second guessing. You know where they're gonna be, what they're gonna do, and that's the beauty of it. But then also the downside is that a routine can, if you don't work at it, can become boring, monotonous. So, what are some of the pluses and minuses of a routine in your guys' view? Sister Fatima, the island queen, you go first.
Communication.
Mm.
Communication.
You saying it can be lost in a long-term marriage?
Yeah, communication.
Okay.
Able to communicate with each other. Know each other in terms of likes and dislikes. If there's no communication, there won't be any relationship, there won't be a marriage, Loneliness would step in. And then when loneliness step in, then the shaitan would start whispering. And when the shaitan starts whispering, there is where the big issue and the problem comes in. So we must be able to communicate and respect each other.
Alhamdulillah. Miss Joanne?
Well, I told my husband that I know him better than he knows himself. And that's because I studied him. And we're able to respond to each other, and we really do know each other. And even when we're not together, certain situations, I know how he will respond to it. There's certain situations he knows how I'll respond to it without me even being there. So there's that that communication that we have together. I like the routine. I like knowing who he is and how exactly how he'll respond to things. And I'm glad that he knows exactly how I'll respond to certain situations. So to me, that's comforting. So he doesn't have to second guess. He knows exactly how I feel about something. I don't have to second guess him because I know where he's coming from and how he will respond to the situation. So I love the routine. It's to me, I find comforting, very comforting.
What's the downside to a routine?
Well, I don't see a downside.
Uh,
I don't see a downside.
yeah, after 53 years, it's just
Yeah.
mashallah. Okay, alhamdulillah.
It's comfortable.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, Sister Fatima from the north.
Can you imagine what it is with me? Can you imagine? Can you guess? Humor. I like having fun. So when
Humor.
I find things getting a little boring, I'll stir the pot somehow and get things going to get. I'm just that way. Like my husband's very, in case you haven't noticed, he's very serious. Sometimes I find maybe too serious, but that's him. That's how he is. That's the way he was raised. The culture was like that. And me, I'm the exact opposite. I've become more serious, alhamdulillah. But I like to have fun. And if you don't have fun in your marriage, I don't know. Like Imam Fahim, I'm sure you have lots of fun in your marriage. I suspect it. I see it in you. And it's like
we have our moments.
Yeah. Well, of course, we all do. But you have to find that balance. Balance is very, very important. You can't be all one thing and nothing of the other. Like for me, anyway. And I'm just as my husband said, I'm just spicy, right? I like to keep things going in motion. I like to be happy, and I like to make other people happy. That's my biggest thing in life. I've always liked to make others happy. So I think you need to have that balance and not be too serious all the time. Ability to laugh at yourself is a big one.
Yeah, I think routine is important because you know what to expect, and then there's a stability with your partner. Like Miss Joanne says something like very important, that she knows her husband better than he knows himself, and I think that's my case with my wife. She knows me. Like she's everything for me, like stuff that I just can't do. And like she's proactive with it. Like, if I need my medicine, like I don't even pick out my own clothes because she, do all that kind of stuff. And sometimes she treat me like the son. I have to remind her, listen, I'm the husband, I'm not the son. You know what I mean? Treat me like the son. We got four boys. Treat them like the sons, But we compliment each other. And she always claimed that, I don't know. I know her well too. I mean, 24 years. I know her very well. I know when she's frustrated. I know when she'll say, oh yeah, I like that, and it's the opposite, and that kind of stuff. So, and I think it's a beautiful thing to to get to that point, And I think for many people today who are struggling to stay married or even get married, you have to get to that point. I mean, there's a lot of ups and downs before that, And I always use this when I perform the cast. I tell people that I've this saying that I came across. It said that being married is like sleeping with the enemy every night. Because sometimes you're at each other's heads, but at the end of the day, you got to get in the same bed. So you got to, if that's the end result. You like Sister Fatima said, you don't go to bed angry. You settle everything at the day. You don't take it into tomorrow. And I've becoming better at this, I mean, there are times, in a long marriage, stuff that will really frustrate you, but divorce is not even, especially if you have so many years in, divorce is not even on the table. It's just, okay, let me leave out the room, or let me just be quiet, or let me redirect the conversation. I mean, we ain't going nowhere. We just having the moment. And I think a lot of couples, they have to realize you just the moment, you just have to get through it. And there's going to be other moments, you know what I mean? And our younger people really need to, understand this, because like I mentioned before the broadcast, like I've been married 24 years now, and that's like an eternity for people. you know. So somebody like Miss Joanne, you know, the people be like, how, you know, or, you know, many of my mentors, they've been married 40 plus years, you know, and people wonder how did they do it? You know, they got through it. They took it moment by moment, you know, and that's what people just have to realize in marriage. If you want longevity, it's a sacrifice, you know. It ain't always going to be happy. You know, stop watching the, you know, Leave It to Beaver, you know, thinking everything is like Ward Cleaver and you know, you come home and the wife is all dressed up in the business skirt and all that, and everything's in place and the food is prepared. And hey, Ward, how was your day? And nah, it ain't gonna be like that. Sometimes stuff is all over the place, attitudes. You know, you have a bad day, but at the end, you put all that together and work it through. You know, so alhamdulillah. So as we get ready to close out, I would like each of you to give some advice to people who are looking. You know, they're married and they want to try to sustain a long-term marriage. What advice would you give them? What are the things that they need to do? Sister Fatima, Canada is like North America, right?
With China.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
we're just above you. I'm just above Iman, Naeem, and Samira. 3 hours.
Yeah, so you're the queen at the top, so you go first.
Oh, what advice do I have? Overlook and forgive and place yourself in their shoes. Like, how would you feel if you were having, because sometimes people are sick. Sometimes they're just having a bad day. You just wake up and you're just out of sorts. You know, all kinds of things can happen. You just have to be compassionate with your partner. You have to find out what's wrong, why they're acting that way, or maybe they just need some space. You have to leave them alone. But you have to be committed to each other. Have a commitment to each other. That's the biggest thing. That you got married for a reason. What was that reason? All of a sudden, all the things that you liked about them before marriage, you don't like now, like you got a problem. You know, so you have to remember. I've heard, you know, I joked around with someone on Facebook about that yesterday, but I wasn't really joking. It's like, that's what you liked about them. Why is it a problem now? You know, so you have to stick it out and realize that you will grow, you will change. You know, as you age, you change. Things you like change, everything changes. And they will change too. Inshallah, you change at the same speed. Like, may Allah grant all of us marriages that we grow in deen and love for each other.
Amen.
Alhamdulillah. Sister Fatima, the queen from the islands.
Know each other. Make sure that, you know, your spiritual basis is centered on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When there are differences, talk to each other, be honest with each other, pray about it. Be happy for each other, love each other for the sake of Allah. Want for your spouse what you want for yourself. Don't do things that will hurt each other. Be each other's best friend. Be able to share and care. A simple thing like complimenting each other, hugging each other, a little smack now and again on the cheek. It means a lot. A hug.
You talking about? Oh, Sister Fatima, which cheek you talking about? What's going on here? That's that island stuff. What's going on? Hey.
You're back in the 56 Chevy.
Yes. A hug. A hug. That embrace, that hugging of each other, it means a lot. It binds. Mm-hmm. It binds the individual together. A hug means a lot. I'm a hugger. I love to hug. Mm. When I was working and my girls have a little issue in the coming in the morning, as soon as they see me, they used to say, Fatima, come, I need a hug, It takes off a lot of tension, you know.
Yes.
We have to learn to embrace each other. When two persons hug each other, it's like one, you know, you feel the vibes, you know.
Heart to heart.
Yes, heart to heart. I just love to hug. Hugging is showing that caring and affection.
Alhamdulillah.
And that in itself, especially at night before you go to bed, hug each other, kiss each other, make fun with each other, because nobody knows what the next day will be. So my key element would be hugging, embrace, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Okay. And for the grand finale, we got the international queen of the Florida waters, Miss Joanne.
Well, I would recommend that you take time to learn each other, because that's when you're really going to learn each other. It's after you're married. And don't be so quick to throw in the towel. You're two different people, usually two opposite people. So take time to get to really know each other, respect each other, and always give that loyalty and love to each other.
And I may add as we close, I got a little time and I learned to pick up something along the way. Embrace the hard times and the difficult times, because the good times take care of themselves. Whenever you have the good time, it's easy when you get a gift or you get a hug or you get, you have that moment, they take care of themselves. It's the difficult times where many times we have the problem. So, embrace them, get through them, and just keep it for, a bigger goal. And that is to please Allah. Early on in my marriage, I used to always tell my wife, I love you for Allah, and she said that used to bother her, and then years later, because she was like, what about me? Do you love me for me? And yes, I love you for you, but loving you for Allah is the reason why I won't abuse you. Is the reason why, in all these years, I never put my hands on you. Maybe we had a couple skirmishes, we overlooked it, we had a couple things, we had a couple wrestling matches, but there has never been no pattern of abuse. There's been no thing of abandoning you or leaving you or making you feel like that I ever wanted to leave, because for the love for Allah is why I love you, and if you listen, honey, I love you too for you. All right. So, so just get through the bad times. The good times take care of themselves. And there's always going to be a mixture of good times and bad times. And then at some point you reach a point where the bad times, you just brush them off. I know, like for me lately, my wife, we'll have a flare up and then we're redirected to like almost like it never happened. Like it's not even lingering. It's like, okay. I always think about that scene. And you ever seen the movie Lean on Me?
Yeah.
And when Joe Clark was arguing with his boss, and they was going at it, they were going at each other. Then at the end, he said, "You will do damn well what I tell you." And then he said, "Come on, let's go get something to eat." So that's one of the things, one of the tricks for the listening audience. Whatever you go through at the end, whatever your routine or whatever makes you happy, do it. It was a cup of coffee, get something to eat or watching a movie or taking a walk. Any of those things that, will bring about a good moment, follow it up. And that's the sunnah, we follow up a bad deed with a good deed, and of course, we look to the example of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he had a number of marriages, but he had one long-term marriage with our mother Khadija, radiallahu anha, that's like one of the greatest love stories known to man, so inshallah we emulate that. So we get ready to conclude. So I'd like to thank our beautiful sisters, our queens, and our mothers in the deen, and thank you all for your input. We hope that this is a beneficial broadcast for everybody tuning in. And I think we might, I don't know yet, we might have to continue this topic because there's a lot to unpack with this topic. There's so much wisdom to impart, and I know you all have plenty of jewels that you're ready to share, inshallah. So maybe, I don't know, we'll discuss it in between. So with that, if you guys don't have anything else, we'll conclude. Can you hear us? I don't know if that's me freezing up or somebody else.
Yeah.
Mr. Fatima, we'll conclude. Rabbana taqabbal minna innaka anta sami'ul alim. Oh Allah, accept this from us. Verily you are the hearing and the seeing. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Al-Fatiha. Ameen. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Salam
Wa alaikum assalam.
Wow.